All right. So, whether anyone's watching this live or if you're watching this on the replay, just want to make sure I get this information out for you. Why am I doing this? I have been training people for 25 years and working specifically with obstacle athletes for the past 7 years. And I just see too many people that don't really know how to put together the right training program that's going to produce results and that's going to keep their joints safe. And I've honestly even fallen guilty to overtraining myself. With obstacle sports in particular, hey Jordan, whether you are specifically working on OCR and Spartan or Ninja, there's just so many different things that you're going to face on the course that is going to potentially put your shoulders at risk of injury or is really going to test your grip strength. And so one of the most common issues with Spartan and Tough Mudder OCR racers is they complain that they can't do certain obstacles because most of those athletes are runners who got into it and didn't really know how to develop their grip strength. Ninjas, on the other hand, we all do plenty of things that work our grip strength, but do we really train for it properly? And even if we train pretty good, can we get more out of our training? And that's what this is about. So today we are going to start off reviewing grip strength. We're going to go into some shoulder stuff. I'm going to post some additional videos today and through the weekend, and then I'll announce when I'm going to do another live, which is going to be to review some of those videos and see how you're doing with it, all right? So being a part of this performance training group is how I can deliver my message to as many people as possible. So starting off with grip strength, right? There was a great question by someone in the American Ninja Warrior Comrades group I think it was yesterday. And it's someone who had applied to join this group, also named Sam, just like me. And he was looking to get started and wondering about grip training. And so he asked a question and there was a ton of responses, but honestly, I kind of laughed at the responses because most of them were like, just hang from something. And people just kept repeating that. And so, yes, that's good. Dead hangs, in particular, are a great exercise for improving your grip strength, but how long should you dead hang for? Can you turn that into a workout? Yes, absolutely. So if you've seen in previous videos right here in the group, I gave an example of the dead hang. I did a single arm dead hang for 1 minute, right? Whether that was two hands or one, let's say 1 minute is the baseline. Now we take 3/4 of that, so 45 seconds. That becomes your workout. During week 1, you do that for 3 sets. You take a minute break in between each set, and now you've done a dead hang workout. Is that the only thing you should do for your grip training? No, absolutely not. That's not enough. But let's just talk about the dead hang and really getting this down right. Build that endurance up to about 2 minutes. I've had kids go 20 minutes. You don't need to go that long. There's endurance training and then there is strength training. I find to build your strength up more is more important. So once you can get over 2 minutes, you should switch to one hand and make sure that that is at least 30 seconds, but hopefully that's over a minute. You can also add a weight vest to a two-handed dead hang to make it harder. And of course, yes, a weight vest with one hand is going to be significantly harder. The same principle would apply where if you can hang for a minute, your workout becomes 3 sets of 75% of that. And that's week 1. Week 2, you go to 4 sets. Week 3, you go to 5 sets. And then week 4, you retest, see if you've made progress, adjust all of your numbers, and continue on. That's what's going to build your strength up. And now let's think of applying that strength on a ninja course. If you are going through a significant upper body section that really taxes your grip strength, and you have a very deep well, let's call it, of grip strength, and you have that's because your grip strength is really strong, right? And because it's strong, you're sipping from that well. So you can go through a long upper body section without feeling like you have to use all of your strength and waste it on the first obstacle. And so you can kind of cruise through. If you never train for strength, you're not going to have it. You will have endurance. And so working on a 20-minute dead hang, for example, is an amazing feat. But when it comes to something that is really dependent on the strength, say a salmon ladder with fat grips on it that I put into a recent pro competition, that requires more than endurance. That requires the power for you to crush those fat grips, which you can't even get your fingers around. Otherwise, the shock and the impact of when you hit the ladder, you're going to peel off, all right? And so think of when you're doing big laches, especially if you're catching a fat bar, especially if it's from a high point to a low point, there's an impact. So there's lots of different things in grip training where we're not just talking about endurance, we're not just talking about strength, we're talking about reaction, hand-eye coordination, and all these different things. But I think I hope you're starting to get the idea on put a program together, work on something like the dead hang, add in some Tabata training we'll talk about later. I love using that on the cliffhanger. Do some things like catching the drop chucks, which is great for reaction time. So is going down on a salmon ladder, right? So all of these are skills, but they can also become drills, right? So if we're going down on the salmon ladder to work on our reaction grip, and we do 5 sets of 5 rungs down, right? Now we've built that into a program. Maybe you can't start at 5 sets. Maybe you start at 3 sets of 3 rungs down and you build up to it. Maybe you can only do 1 in a row. So 1 set is once you accumulate 3 in however many tries it takes you to get successful on 3. Maybe it's 10 attempts, but 3 successes. And over time, you get 3 successes based on 3 attempts. So we're building a program with that. And going back to that American Ninja Warrior Comrades thing, nobody was really providing the structure. And I honestly feel that a lot of the reason behind that is because nobody knows the structure. All the ninjas that I've come across over the years, they just kind of do their thing and they tend to overdo it. So on overdoing it, I now want to transition into shoulders. There are things that we need for our shoulders to be healthy. One is mobility. Mobility is the ability to rotate all the way around, right? Because it's a ball and socket joint. Your arm's gonna rotate, it's gonna come across, up and around, and all these different things. And as we're swinging on monkey bars and doing laches, we need to have mobility. We need to be able to reach in awkward ways, especially if you're bouldering as well. But we also need stability, because if we're reaching out and we're grabbing something and we're pulling our body over there, we don't want our shoulder dislocating, and I've seen that happen to several ninjas. And it can be a minor dislocation where there's, maybe a subtle amount of pain that's shocking and causes you to drop and fall and fail that obstacle, but you're not really injured, or at least not significantly injured. And then I've seen it happen where the shoulder completely dislocates out of the socket and the humeral head breaks off. So there's lots of levels of injury that can happen if you don't have stable shoulders. So we want to work on both stability and mobility. And before getting into all of this, we need to see if there's a problem, because I've come across so many ninjas, young, in their 20s, who have shoulder issues. I'm in my 40s. I've had a lot of shoulder injuries over the years from various sports activities that have happened, but I've been able to rehab them and come back from that and be able to have full range of motion. So I'm going to show you what I do when I'm working on people with an assessment. We place one hand on the opposite shoulder. We raise that elbow up and down a couple of times. You're looking for clicks, pops, feelings of pain, feelings of restriction of movement, and then compare it to the other side. Do they both feel the same? If they feel the same and there's no issues, then cool, you're good. If there is a feeling of restriction or pain on one side, you might have had a rotator cuff injury at some point that you're aware of, or you might have one in the works that you're not aware of, and you might have a little bit of what we call a shoulder impingement. If you have that, then do not do what I'm about to show you. But this is a test to see what your mobility is. This is internal, external shoulder rotation. So if I stand here and I reach one arm behind my back, can I clasp my hands? Can I do that on both sides? What some of you will find is that if you're a lefty versus a righty, that dominant side has more restrictions because of scar tissue. You tend to overuse your dominant side. You build up scar tissue. That causes problems, and you need to work through them. You'll be getting a bunch of exercises. There's a video, the first one that's gonna come out is at 12 o'clock today. It's a bunch of shoulder mobilities, and I wanna talk about these here. So the first thing in there is thoracic spine extension using a foam roller. You sit your butt on the floor, you lay back over the foam roller. You can do various arm positions. I prefer this one. Some people will put their arms in various positions, but as you go, you extend your upper back, your thoracic spine, which is from about where your ribs begin up until your cervical spine. You don't want to put the roller on your neck. You don't want to go below your ribs because that'll put too much pressure on your lower back. And you extend over it. You try and hit segment by segment. So there's a video of that. Next one is snow angels. You're laying on the foam roller. Now it's vertically. It's supporting your entire spine, and you're literally doing snow angels. Now, if you get stuck because you're tight, a lot of times it's because your chest is very tight. So instead of trying to slide through and keep your hands on the ground and get stuck and hurt yourself, lift your hands up a little bit, try a new point, press back into the floor. Lift up, try a new point, press back into the floor. Just work at angles, and you'll see in the video, I'm holding on to dumbbells, right? If you can't activate the muscles to pull you back and overcome the stretch force, then the weights will help force you down. And so it's a preliminary way of doing it. And then the last one in there is the rainbow stretch. You're laying on your side, you put your leg on the foam roller, and you're rolling through. So now you're getting pec, shoulder mobility, and you're getting rotation of your thoracic spine. And that is a great one for working on your overall mobility. You need to keep the hand on the floor. That's the goal. If that is too tough for you, what you do is the other one that's in there, which is just a thoracic spine reach. So you're kind of pulling your ribs and you're driving your elbow into the floor. So check out those videos. They're coming out at 12 o'clock today. And those are mobilities, which is where I want you to start, right? If you want to improve your shoulder strength, we first need to make sure that your shoulders move properly, because if they're really stiff and you get stuck and you try and force it, you're probably going to tear something, so you're probably going to get injured. And on that note, right, if you can't do any of these, if you have a shoulder impingement issue, feel free to reach out to me, comment in here, call the gym. I'm happy to help you put together a program that is gonna help your shoulders get better. And then pay attention to some other videos that are coming out over the next couple of days. That's just gonna be more guidance. This is all free. I just wanna help you guys get started. Honestly, it's the tip of the iceberg in terms of the level of training that you can do for both grip and for shoulders, but I wanted to at least give you a preview because I've been doing this forever. I've got a lot of knowledge in here, and I just want to get it out and help people do better and really see every athlete, every obstacle athlete, every ninja, every Spartan perform at their best. And, so you can have fun doing it for a long, long time. So that's it. Have a great weekend. Have a great 4th. Hey, Kurt, take care, man.